I want to show you this video. Please raise your hands if you consider this art. Anyone? Okay. Thank you. You may lower your hands now. In this world, there are two different types of people. One of them loves abstract modern art, and the other thinks it's confusing, or dare I say, insulting. I was part of the second group. Hi everyone, my name is Winola, and I'm a 21-year-old artist and content creator, art content creator. And I myself spend hours and hours and hours in the span of over a month for one single painting. So when I see this guy named Emmanuel Berenger jump on a trampoline with one marker in hand and name the painting some fancy French word and call it a day, I thought to myself, wow, men and their audacity. How can something like this be allowed in a museum or in any museum? But as a curious person on the internet, I thought to myself, I should do a little bit of research on this. So I came across the second piece in today's virtual gallery. This is Robert Ryman's Bridge, circa 1930. Take a guess on how much money this painting costs. Pick a random number. And let me tell you how much money someone actually paid for this painting. $20 million, or to be exact, $20,605,000. If it's in rupiahs, it's going to be 317 billion rupiahs, which is crazy. And now, why am I telling you all of this? Is it just to complain about how hard it is to sell my painting when some guy can just make this and get rich? Well, yes, absolutely. But turns out I found something shocking and turns out something wonderful about the world of modern art. And I want to share that with all of you today. Or in other words, life lessons from a blank canvas. I know not everyone wants to become an artist, but there are a few valuable things that we can learn from these abstract painters. To do that, we need to start at the beginning. We need to go back from the beginning. How did paintings go from super complicated human figures on church ceilings to this? Now, it all started with the war. Yes, the war. Of course, with everything history related, there's always going to be some conflict. The year is 1940, and the Americans are starting to feel the effects of the fighting that is so vicious and so cruel. Now, how can things go back to the way it once was? How can life and art go back to the way it was before? Everyone was struggling, everything was in crisis, the world was in shambles. And, everything was in shambles, and they didn't have it in them, these artists didn't have it in them, to paint these normal and mundane things like they did before. Like, for example, flowers, a pretty view of the lake, or people in love. Now, these artists are visibly stressed, and they wanted to paint their feelings. So enter Jackson Pollock. He'd been studying art in New York since 1930, and he'd always been skilled as an easel painter, but he ditched all of that for semi-abstract work. So one day when he was at his studio, he was struggling, he was figuring out, how do I finish this painting? So he took the canvas off of the easel, put it on the ground, and just poured paint on top of that. This changed everything. It became his trademark. So his paintbrush would no longer touch the canvas, but he would drizzle and pour paint on top of that. If something new like this appears in the art world, people were very confused, because usually painters would present paint as an object. They would present paint as something that already exists in real life, like a tree, an animal, or a human being. But Jackson Pollock, he presented paint as paint itself, drizzled and poured and splashed all over the canvas. So now we know, in 2023, that Jackson Pollock is one of the most famous artists there is. If you look up the 10 most expensive paintings in the world, one of his paintings made the list. It's this one, number 17A, and it was sold for $200 million. So now we know that he made it as an artist. But back then, when he was struggling as a fresh graduate in New York, pouring his first splatters of paint on the ground, he had absolutely no idea. He didn't know that he would ever turn out successful. At first, his ideas were met with resistance. The public didn't understand what he was doing. But soon enough, the critics did. They loved his work. They could see the honesty shown in his movements on the canvas, the gestures he makes to create each trail of color, and his motions while he paints. They called it the American style of painting because it represents freedom of speech, freedom to be, and freedom to express however it is you're feeling. Now, of course, now we know that he made it as an artist because he didn't confine art with reality and everything. Now, you might think, well, what does this have to do with me? I'm an academic. What does this Jackson guy have to do with my life, I'm all about the numbers, the physics, and the accounting. I don't want to waste my life to become a starving artist. I just want to have a serious job, go into a serious university, and live my life because, of course, pursuing art isn't something that parents would allow. But turns out these life lessons I'm going to be explaining today are applicable to all walks of life. And there are 3 points that I would like to discuss today. The first one is be a pioneer. A pioneer for what? Now it feels like everything has been done under the sun. When you look at social media, every second, every minute, every day, there's always going to be an ad for something new. You might think that, the world doesn't need me. Everything has been already done. Everyone's out there clamoring for success and recognition. So why must I join the crew? Like Jackson Pollock in the midst of thousands of other artists, trying to make it a name for themselves in New York. Now, Jackson Pollock might have this mindset. What would happen if Jackson Pollock had this type of mindset of like, the world doesn't need me. I can just retire my paintbrushes to the side. I cannot even draw very well anyway. It's hard for me to draw because when I draw, especially the human figure, I would have to put their arms behind their backs because I don't want to draw the hands. Or if I draw eyes, it's so hard drawing eyes because you have to draw both of them symmetrically, so one of them's got to be winking at all times. So these are my drawings when I was a little kid. Looking back, it would have been very hopeless for me to struggle in the art world with these mad skills. I could have ended Jackson Pollock's entire career if I was born in the 1940s. But anyway, Jackson Pollock knew that realistic paintings were everywhere. Like, there has been these amazing artists like Da Vinci and Michelangelo. How can he outdo something that's already been done almost perfectly? So what did he do? He tried a new approach. And his abstract paintings with drip marks shook the art world and made his name known. So when you're entering your field of work or field of choice, if there's already a set standard, you can try something different. Be innovative, be curious. Like, there's potential in every corner. It sounds kind of corny, but you have to dare to be different. And if you're pioneering something new, you might be met with resistance, but let me remind you that it is completely okay. That is human nature. If you're met with resistance, it means you're actually doing something. I want to quote a wise poet that said, "When you got skin in the game, you stay in the game. You don't get a win unless you play in the game. Oh, you get love for it, you get hate for it, you get nothing if you wait for it, wait for it, wait." If you know where this comes from, it means you are a nerd, and I think we will get along really well. This quote is by Alexander Hamilton, aka Lin-Manuel Miranda. Anyway, if you keep on waiting along the sidelines and just trying to wait for something to happen, nothing's going to happen. You have to work for it. And if you take action, the right crowd will follow. Just like these painters, the pioneers of these abstract paintings back in the day, like, they weren't scared of their own ideas, and they took action. And even until now, the opinions are still very polarizing about abstract art. Some people love it, some people hate it, but those who love it, they're willing to pay hundreds, thousands, and millions of dollars for one single painting. So life is short, you can never know until you try. That brings me to my second point, the second life lesson, which is be patient. Jackson Pollock was courageous enough to try, but it doesn't mean that he was successful overnight. He didn't make an abstract painting and immediately sell it for millions of dollars the day it was finished. Now I feel like Gen Zs, we're kind of conditioned to believe that everything will immediately get a reward. We will get our rewards very quickly. The instant gratification. Like for example, if I wear this magical skincare cream, my acne will fade away the next day. Or if I drink this slimming tea, I will lose 5 kilograms in the span of 3 days. Or if I invest in this stock, I will get rich next month. So this is a false narrative that we've been fed. In reality, it doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't have a perfect set of equation like 1 + 1 = 2. Absolutely not. The real world is filled with many variables and many unexpected things that make life really frustrating, but at the same time, very, very interesting. So you have to take a chance and try to do something new. And I also want to quote this brilliant mastermind. She said, "Never trust it. If it rises fast, it can't last." And that brilliant mastermind is Taylor Allison Swift. Are there any Swifties in the audience? Ah, my people, I see you. Okay. That means you know which song I'm referencing. Speaking of Taylor Swift, she also didn't immediately succeed as America's pop princess the day she debuted. No, she worked for years and years and years, and now her Eras tour made her a billionaire. So patience is key, and if you persevere, you will definitely reap the rewards one day. That brings me to my third point, which is just do it. I have to include this legendary Nike tagline. Now, usually there's this one sentence that everyone seems to say about abstract art. After they finish looking at a painting, they say, "I could have done the same thing." And my response to that is, well, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Why does he get to be the one who makes millions of dollars for this painting? It's because he actually thought about it. He got up and executed the work. Because you didn't do it, someone else seized the opportunity and ended up reaping the rewards. So fight while you're still able to fight. If, for example, it might be a bit too scary for you to start, just remember that if you just wait along the sidelines, nothing is going to happen. You won't get any reward. So fight while you're still able to fight, especially because you guys are still very young. You're not even 20 yet. When you're still young, you have the energy to fight. So, and then later on, you can definitely make a name for yourself, and then in the next few years, if you start something new today. You might be, the next big thing, just like this guy. This man with the audacity that we mentioned in the beginning. Not everyone is going to love his artwork, of course. But that doesn't mean that he stopped creating. He's still very much continuing, he's not giving up. And actually now, I kind of find his artwork very interesting and kind of cool, because you can see the honesty, the brutal honesty of the way he creates art. And also, it's nothing you've ever seen before. Like, who jumps on a trampoline and makes art? This is something very new and very unique, and I really respect him for it. So, all in all, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but hey, you don't have to be either. And there are these 3 main points that I want you guys to be taking away from this talk. And it is, be a pioneer. Don't be afraid of your own ideas. You can set the standard. And number 2, be patient, because success doesn't come overnight. And number 3, just do it. And these are the life lessons from a blank canvas. And just like a blank canvas, you can fill it up with anything that you desire, with any innovation that you want to create. And yeah, you can fill it with anything that you want to create. And one day, if you do follow these steps, I guarantee that you will be unstoppable whether or not you will turn out as an artist. That's it. Thank you.